I really wish that there was a way that I could more easily fade that music out other than just like record scratch and the music stops, but such is life. All right, welcome to our now second to last talk. Got Josh Michaels back.
How's it going? I'm back again. Apparently I caused some ruckus with my comments about Epic. I hope that
Yeah.
people aren't upset with me.
Well, we'll find out in a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, Tom was like, we need to have a discussion about this. I was like,
I hope the discussion is about Feedback Assistant, because that's I like to talk about that.
from your, I think you're on the panel, so you can just talk about that. And every time it comes around to you, you're like,
Feedback Assistant.
Feedback Assistant.
So I just want to give one comment about this talk before we go into it. I recorded this about 5 or 6 days ago. And one of the things I historically really like about coming to 360 is that over the course of the week, the different talks kind of inspire each other. So you have the opportunity to like build on something you heard or talk about how it relates to what you said. And we don't really have that opportunity in this because this is all done in advance. And it's really weird having seen a bunch of other people's talks, already knowing how they connect to things I talked about, and kind of anticipating conversation about some of the points. So I had a lot of fun making this. I really wanted to add a laugh track, but I removed it for professional reasons. But the intention is to be humorous. This is a closing talk, so we're trying to have everyone leave on a happy note with some kind of good energy.
Nice. All right, we'll dig in. Remember, ask any questions you like in the Slack channel, and then we will be back at the end for some live Q&A as well.
Hi, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this talk. I'd like to start by saying thank you to John and Nicole for pulling this event together in this new format under fairly adverse circumstances. 360 iDev is one of the best events there is for the Mac development community, and I'm grateful it was able to continue under the current conditions. Thank you to John and Nicole for making this happen. My name is Josh Michaels. I create a lot of things, and some of my favorite things to create are products for Apple platforms. But before I talk about that, to get things going, I want to retell a lesson from one of my favorite high school teachers. One day during economics, he got on a soapbox to try to give us kids some perspective on what was going on in the world. He told us something to the effect of, in your lifetime, you will see the stock market crash and there will be another war. And the market will recover from the crash, yet you will see another crash and another war. And if you get to be old enough, you may just get to see that cycle a few more times. This example, while not flawless, is what got me thinking about the circular nature of many of the processes around me. And it helped me observe that in almost every instance where things were going wrong in the world, in the long term, good things ultimately emerged as a result. One of those good things that emerged from the last major crisis we experienced was the App Store and apps. I know it seems like a long time ago, but it was just 11 years ago when the App Store opened. At the time, there was a major economic crisis that resulted from a range of shady bank and financial operations. The crisis fueled a social movement known as Occupy Wall Street, which took over parts of cities around the world demanding social change. Many people were left unemployed or underemployed and had extra time on their hands. Despite all the gloom, opportunity was in the air, for these were the ingredients in the petri dish from which the App Store emerged. Similar, but more potent ingredients are present today. In many ways, apps are saving us from this crisis. Imagine how we would get through this current condition without apps. Apps, and more broadly software, are the technological backbone that is keeping society functional through the current condition. The near instant adaptation to at-home work across countless industries was only possible because of the apps and platforms built out over the last decade. That is remarkable, given that apps are a relatively new phenomenon and further, that apps as we know them today emerged during the previous crisis. So I have a question that I want to challenge you with today as you leave the conference and to think about through the rest of this talk. What can you work on right now that will help save us in the next cycle? Almost certainly, new technologies and businesses are being created today that we will greatly appreciate during the next crisis, particularly in areas of healthcare, biology, and science. Many of these areas look as exciting today as the App Store did a decade ago. What can you work on right now that will help save us on the next cycle? Because I assure you, 10 years from now, we will look back on the work being done right now as instrumental to saving us. And with that, from the home office in Portland, Oregon, I'd like to bring you the top 10 reasons why it's a great time to start a business. Are you ready for this? From the home office in Portland, Oregon, the top 10 reasons why it's a great time to start a business. Number 10, new opportunities are everywhere for new products as modern life is being reinvented right before our eyes. Think about all the ways that your day-to-day life has changed over the last few months and all of the software products that might be able to help with these adjustments and changes. Number 9, economic opportunities are flush, particularly in the United States. The government is just giving money away now to people who fill out some very basic forms. It's really unbelievable, and yeah, that's out there. There's money just floating around. Number 7, software is easier to develop than it has ever been. Do you remember what it was like to develop apps in the first years of the App Store, when just getting an app to sign for submission was a multi-day process? Okay, sometimes that can still happen, but software is easier to develop and easier to learn, and there's more educational tools out there to help you learn software if you don't know it than there has ever been before. Software is now easy. All right. Number 6, from the home office in Portland, Oregon. The number 6 reason why it's a great time to start a business right now: software distribution is faster and easier than it has ever been. It didn't used to be possible to just create a product in your home and sell it in every country around the world with very limited restrictions on what you can do. For all the complaints about the limitations of the App Store, the App Store and stores like it have enabled software distribution in ways people decades ago could have never imagined. And you are a primary benefactor of that as someone who can potentially create products from your own home and distribute them worldwide. Number 5, unemployment can be a great ramp for starting a company. That is right. If you are in the unfortunate situation of being unemployed and in the beneficial situation of actually being able to get unemployment benefits, that is a great ramp that you can use to start creating a business. Maybe you were working full-time before and you want to switch to contracting. Maybe you were doing contracting and you want to explore development of your own products. These things are all possible during downtime. Ooh, someone's going to get a paper cut here. Number 4, working your day job from home makes starting a side business easier. Think about what life was like if you used to commute into work, spend your day at work, and then commute back home. It was really hard to have any energy at the end of the day to try to work on something other than your job. But when you're at home all day, it gives you the opportunity to kind of better balance out your schedule, and potentially some of that time you recovered from commuting and other things can be applied to starting some new product or pursuing some new opportunity. Working from home can be awesome. Number 3, learning how to work from home enables a wide range of new opportunities. I've had the benefit of being able to work from home for almost a decade now. There are so many things about it that are wonderful. I've spoken with many other people who are experiencing work from home for the first time and are actually really enjoying it. It's not for everyone, but if it is for you, now you can get a job not only working from home, but where you interview from home, where you never even have to go into an office at all to get an interview to get the job. So learning how to work from home enables a wide range of new opportunities. Even when this crisis is over, that's something that you can benefit from. Number 3, if the time is not right now, when is it going to be? We always talk about the right place and the right time, and I can't imagine a more right place and more right time than right now to start building new products. It's that simple. Number 2, if the time is not right now, when will it be? Looks like the writers maybe got lazy here, but that's absolutely true. The time is not right now, when will it be? And the number one reason from the home office in Portland, Oregon, why it's a great time to start a business. If it's not a great time right now, when will it be? When will it be? And that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from the home office in Portland, Oregon. Those are the top 10 reasons why it is a great time to start a business. I'm going to change course here in Act 2 to an adjacent topic with a similar underlying message. These stories might not seem connected at first, but I hope by the end the relationship will become clear. If not, just consider this to be a variety show. I am going to share with you one of the greatest secrets in the world of Apple software. One of the greatest secrets. I'm going to reveal it to you. I wonder what you're thinking right now. What is this great secret that is about to be revealed? Well, let me just get it out there. Being Sherlocked is awesome. Yes, my friends, that thing that developers fear, that politicians keep obsessing over, that thing that everyone seems to think is the worst thing that can possibly happen to your company is in fact awesome. All right, well, what are we talking about here? First off, let's de-jargonize the term Sherlock with the help of Urban Dictionary. So Urban Dictionary says, Sherlocked, to have developed a product and just started shipping it, only to have Apple come along and provide exactly the same functionality in a system update. So the basic story is you put out an app and then Apple puts out basically the same thing built into the operating system in relatively short order after you put out your app or your product. So that's Sherlock. And to be more specific, in the original case that defined this term Sherlocked, Apple created a search product called Sherlock that was very similar to a product by Caralia called Watson. Thus, this is the origin of the term and the story that is constantly referenced as an example of Apple running over developers. Okay, so why is this relevant? Well, my company just happens to be the undisputed world Sherlock champions. That's right, the undisputed world Sherlock champions. That is to say, we have been Sherlocked more aggressively at one time than any other company in Apple history. So while my story is not representative of all similar cases, I am speaking from direct experience. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to the first and final 2 episodes of my new internet show, Sherlocked. Episode 1, Earth Labs. So Earth Labs is a simple app that shows beautiful videos of Earth captured from space. Originally for the iPhone and iPad, we released Earth Labs for Apple TV alongside the launch of the new Apple TV in October 2015. It was the #1 paid app for some time after launch. In 2016, Apple featured it in 2 WWDC sessions, describing it as one of their favorite apps. And in 2018, Apple included similar Earth videos in the default Apple TV screensaver, while continuing to offer no way for third parties like us to provide screensavers on the Apple TV platform. So that fits the definition pretty closely. Now, one observation I will make here is that if you want to create a business with a defensible position, don't base your products on publicly available photography. We knew from the start that anyone else could get access to the images we used to create Earth Labs, and it wouldn't take long for someone with comparable video skill to create similar or better videos. It just happened that someone was Apple, but it could have been anyone, and we knew that from the start. I never anticipated that this product would have a lifespan more than 2 years, yet alone that I would still be here talking about it today. So, how can there possibly be a really happy ending to this Earth Lab story? Okay, we still can't make official screensavers on the TV. Earth is now built in as a default on the TV. Like, what are the options here other than not developing the app anymore? And that's the decision I made. We stopped development of Earth Labs. But it actually turns out there are two positive outcomes from this Sherlocking, one of which really is not obvious. The first one, though, is pretty straightforward, and it is sales of Earth Labs actually went up after Apple launched their Earth videos. Sales went up! Can you believe that? And one reason why is because Apple did not provide a way to view only Earth videos on the screensaver. They were mixed with other videos and sometimes didn't even show up. So people who wanted to be able to put Earth and keep it on their Apple TV came to Earth Labs to do it. This was totally unexpected. Sales today remain as high as they were before Sherlocking, which is an amazing feat for a product that hasn't been updated in 2 years. So that's number one, that the sales actually went up and still maintained over the long term, despite the fact that this feature was now built into the operating system. Now, the second outcome is more twisted, and this is the one I'm more excited to talk about because this one has only really truly surfaced recently. So, how many people are familiar with the Arial screensaver on Mac? Okay, I'm imagining that everyone's hand is up in the virtual audience right now. Arial is an open source project that implements the Apple TV screensaver on Mac. It is quite simply the best screensaver that exists for Mac, with the possible exception, maybe the possible exception, of After Dark. And I say that as someone who creates screensavers for a living. Arial exists as a product because of the Apple TV screensaver. So one side effect of the existence of Apple Screensaver is simply that this fantastic open source project exists and provides a great screensaver for Mac. Well, that sounds like another losing point, right? I mean, that means there's more competition on the Mac for screensavers, which is the business that I'm in. Unless you know how to turn lemons into lemonade, which provides me this great opportunity to introduce our new product collaborations with Arial. For the past several months, I've been working directly with the project's manager, Guillaume Lowell, to introduce new features that enable the addition of expansion packs, with the foundation pack being a new Arial feature we call Community Videos. We have worked with Arial to create a new community video repository where videographers who create professional Arial videos can submit them for inclusion in the screensaver. We have seeded this repo with 20 of our favorite videos available now, free, built directly into Arial. Yes, everyone who upgrades to Arial 2.0 will immediately benefit from this new community collection and collaboration. But that's just the start. We are also now offering Magic Window Air expansions for Arial, featuring 150 videos to add to your Arial collection, more than double the total provided by Apple to date. Both the community videos and expansions have been mastered to seamlessly fit with Apple's videos. When you see them together, you'll wonder the same thing that we do. Why doesn't Apple allow us to do this on Apple TV? But does it really matter when we can offer this on Mac when there are more Macs out there anyway? And the answer is not really. So that, my friends, is not only how you make lemonade, but also how you create a lemonade market and invite others to join. So check out Arial 2.0 and Magic Window expansions for Arial at magicwindow.app/Arial. It's available now, Wednesday, the 19th of August, and I want to say special thanks to Guillaume, who manages this project. He has been an amazing person to collaborate with, and I really look forward to collaborating with him in the future. That was the first ever episode of Sherlocked, and we will be back with a second episode of Sherlocked after these messages.
Hello, I'm a Mac.
And I'm a PC. You know, we use a lot of the same kinds of programs.
Yeah, like Microsoft Office.
But we retain a lot of what makes us us.
But you should see what this guy can do with a spreadsheet. It's insane.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, and he knows that I'm better at life stuff, like music, pictures, movies, stuff like that.
Whoa, what exactly do you mean by better?
By better, I mean making a website or photo book is easy for me, and for you, it's not.
Oh, that kind of better.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the other kind.
What other kind?
And we are back with Sherlock, Episode 2, 24-Hour Wallpaper. By now, this image of Mojave is burned into everyone's brain who works with Macs. This is Apple's first dynamic desktop, or in more specific terms, wallpaper that matches the time of day. There's nothing new about the idea of having desktop wallpaper sync with time. In fact, back in the mid-90s, a product named Sundial existed offering exactly this on Mac. Remarkably, the 24-hour photo sequences in Sundial were captured with a film camera. We find it challenging enough to create these sequences with a digital camera or rendering software. It is amazing to think that this was accomplished with film over 25 years ago. Anyway, I digress. To get to the point, our flagship product, 24-hour wallpaper, released 2 years before Dynamic Desktop, became our second Sherlocking victim just minutes after Earthlapse. It was literally the fastest double Sherlocking in history, which is again why we hold the honor of being the world Sherlocking champions. Alright, so how the hell are we going to get out of this one? This wasn't like Earthlapse, which was a small and fast project. It's kind of done quickly on the side. Didn't really matter if it didn't work anymore. We had worked on 24-hour wallpaper for almost 7 years at the point it was Sherlock. It was a major investment. We saw it as the future of our Mac products and our product line. So bailing on the product wasn't an option like it was with Earthlapse. We had to figure out how to make the best out of the situation. So let me go through all the ways that we won. That I have time to share. So to start off, there was now an official term for this kind of wallpaper, dynamic desktop. Before Apple introduced that, there was no standard language that could describe this. We called it 24-hour wallpaper after a long debate after what language to use, but we don't have the position to actually install new language in the world the way that Apple does. So the biggest benefit to us of this Sherlocking was that Apple gave it a name. And by Apple giving it a name, there was now this official term that you could search for and find and actually do SEO and web optimization around. So before, people didn't even know what to call something like this if they even thought to look for it. Now they knew what it was and what to call it and could go straight to Google and search for it, which gave us the opportunity to be the first result when that happened. That was the single biggest win. Now with Apple offering only 2 of these dynamic desktops initially, that meant that there was going to be a lot of people asking the question, where are more of these? Where can I get more? And that was a huge opportunity for us because we were already there with all these wallpapers created. We were ready when the luck struck. It wasn't like other people could just run out into the world and do all the labor required to create these wallpapers instantly. It would take other people time to catch up. So the fact that Apple let so few out of the bag to start meant that we were there to really fill in that gap, which was a huge win for us. We ended up building dynamic desktop support right into our app. And this was an ego struggle because I'll just be straight, like our wallpaper format is better than dynamic desktop. I could spend hours talking about what the advantages are of our particular format versus Apple's. But no one really wants to have that conversation or discussion. There's a handful of people that are just like, are you Apple's format or are you not Apple's format? Because if you're not Apple's format, I'm just not interested. So we absolutely had to appease those people, and the only way to achieve that was by building support for the format directly into the app, which totally worked and Apple allowed. So we got to support their new engine directly, and as a result of all of these factors, sales of 24-hour wallpaper skyrocketed when macOS Mojave released, and it remains today our top-selling consumer product. Whereas before Apple released Dynamic Desktop, it was a relatively niche and relatively unknown product that really had not seen the light of day. So we were able to take that situation and really turn it around and get ourselves right out there in the spotlight so that when people were looking for more dynamic desktops, we were there to answer. So those are some of the big ones on the Apple platform. But there was another really big one that parallels the one with Ariel. And that is our project in collaboration with another open source product, Win Dynamic Desktop. So shortly after Apple announced Dynamic Desktop, an open source product named Win Dynamic Desktop emerged, implementing Dynamic Desktop for Windows. So we once again took the opportunity here to make lemonade by working to enhance Win Dynamic Desktop and ultimately release a collection of free and paid wallpapers for it. This resulted in the opening of our first web store, which ultimately began selling Mac Dynamic Desktop several months later. We would have never, ever been able to bring our product to Windows if it wasn't for Win Dynamic Desktop. We just don't have the resources. And Win Dynamic Desktop wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Apple building Dynamic Desktop directly into the platform. So, this is all possible thanks to a combination of Apple and another really talented open source developer, Timothy Johnson, who I worked with on this project and again had a really great experience working with to improve Win Dynamic Desktop and get additional content options out on it. So if it wasn't enough that Apple Sherlocking 24-hour wallpaper got it all sorts of different attention and created opportunity in the market for us to be found and discovered, we were able to expand onto Windows, which still owns like 85 to 90% of the desktop market. And we were able to do it without me learning how to program for Windows, which is something I've been very nervous about for some time. So if it looks like we're getting win after win here, we are. But I don't want to create the impression that any of this was easy. Making the right decisions in these situations and focusing on what is best for the product rather than ego was the key to success. We didn't waste time in press complaining about Apple copying us because they didn't. And we didn't fight their format even though it's marginal because there was no reason to. Every one of these decisions was hard and we didn't get everyone right, but we approached them with the right attitude. And that is the source of the win streak. So what has been the lesson here? All right, this has been a whole bunch of different stories. What is the lesson? Well, Steve Jobs liked to use the Wayne Gretzky quote, skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been. Well, there's a flaw in this quote, and that is if you're targeting where the puck is going, you shouldn't be surprised if you run into Apple there, and maybe a bunch of other people too. If your sense of where the puck is going is good, their sense of where it's going is good too. And don't be surprised if you end up building the same thing. That's not copying. Act 3. Sometimes things really do suck, and there's no way out. For the most part, my business was not impacted by COVID, but my hobby as visualist for the Pink Floyd tribute band Pigs on the Wing was. Our 2020 tour with a planned start in April was completely canceled, and there's no obvious path to doing shows again. This is a real downer and something I've been struggling with. As someone who likes to find their way out of binds creatively, the way out of this one is not yet obvious, but I remain optimistic we'll find one. That said, I think to some extent we're facing a challenge that a number of other businesses are facing right now, which is the reality that sometimes businesses die or businesses transform so fundamentally that they don't look anything like they did before. And accepting the death of an old business is hard. For a variety of reasons, 4 apps that I had in the App Store are no longer there as of a few weeks ago. Lots of reasons why. It was hard. So businesses die. And I think one of the harder situations to be in right now is to be in a situation where you had a business that was working really well before COVID, and then COVID wrecked it. Because there's certainly reason to hope that things will go back to a way that business can still work. But maybe that won't be the case, and I feel like this is, a necessary example of a case where maybe there isn't a great way out. Maybe there isn't going to be a silver lining on this one, just like there isn't always a silver lining on every one of these stories. But more often than not, every challenge contains an opportunity. If you see the opportunity, the challenge will propel you. But if you dwell in the fear, you won't make it very far. Thank you very much. Please enjoy our wallpapers and screensavers. There are lots of truly free options available at the links below. It's not required for you to pay money, but we do love it when you do pay money. It keeps the operation going. For those of you on SetApp, which I hope is everyone because SetApp is awesome, 24-hour wallpaper is available on SetApp starting today. That is Wednesday, the 19th of August. You can hop into SetApp, install 24-hour wallpaper, and see exactly what I'm talking about without paying any extra money. Arial 2.0 and community videos are out today. Upgrade to Arial 2.0 to begin experiencing the community videos for free. And Magic Window expansions for Arial are also on sale beginning today, so you can expand your Arial collection even further. Thank you again to John and Nicole. Thank you to everyone who took the time to watch this. Have a great rest of the year. Hope you enjoyed the conference.
All right. That was awesome, man. Well done.
I hope people enjoyed it. It was, one of the hard things in normally if you're a conference speaker before, you would make your talk and then you go up and give it and then you're done and you can go like have a beer and have a conversation. But in this new model, you give the talk and maybe you give it like 2 or 3 or 4 more times. And I actually had like 10 false starts where I didn't get past slide 2. Like it was bad. Like I just kept again and again. I got to slide 2, and I couldn't not mess it up. And then I just like made a rule for myself that I was just going to do it in one take. And if I messed up, I was just going to fumble, and I'd go record over myself when I was done. Because if I sat here all day canceling every time I messed up, I'd be here all day.
Yeah, I did a reading a while back. Right as this was all kicking off, someone did a COVID con type thing for authors and artists and stuff. And I signed up for a reading, and it was my first reading ever. And I was like, I don't want to do this live because I don't know what that's going to be like. And, I don't know. So I did it. I recorded it and immediately was like, okay, scratch that one, do. And I had to break it all down and then piece it all together in post. And then I forgot I was wearing my ball cap in one. And then I stood next to one where I had taken my cap off, and yeah.
I mean that's the thing. It's a whole job. Right?
Yes.
Video production is a job. It's a discipline, right? We do it professionally. It's actually like a job that you can have and do. And now all of a sudden the world is expecting that everyone has this capacity.
Yeah, exactly.
And, I can just say from having done it for so many years, it's unreasonable to expect anyone to get truly reasonable grip over the medium for at least a year, because you make mistakes and you've got to try different tools and find out what editors you like. And this live broadcast stuff is a whole new thing. It's a whole thing. Right now, there's a great business for someone to set up an online class on how to learn how to teach online, because there's such need. These tools exist and capacities exist, but the people who need them right now, teachers, they don't have them. They shouldn't be expected to have them.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, and I don't know how that's going to pan out over the next couple of months.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Part of one of the other side things I do is Denver Startup Week, and we moved this year online. And there's a marketing company here in town, and kudos to them. They pivoted into offering post-production and Zoom webinar.
Exactly. Bingo.
Yeah, it's brilliant. They manage it all now for their client.
Yep.
They'll do the backgrounds and transitions and manage logos and they do all that. So then the hardest part of that
you shouldn't have to know how to do it. Yes, you can do an okay job easily. But the same screen is showing Netflix and like games and all this other professional material. So like the expectation from this screen, like here in front of me, is a level that is just not realistic for any average consumer to do.
Absolutely.
Which is part of why I played around with the format here in this talk and try to actually transition it from more traditional format into more modern format. But yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. I feel like just when everyone was getting like past using like the flame transition on Keynote, now we got this, and everyone has to figure out how to do all of this like whiz bang post production stuff.
But,
we're gonna go back to being live, and everyone's gonna be like, "Well, now it's just me standing here, and there's no correction on the video. Like it's just me." And
so I have to tell you really straight. Like every effect that I used in that video was a Final Cut Pro default. I intentionally did not go beyond the effort of just dragging the default onto the video and typing the text in. But like even like the fact that I know Final Cut Pro, that I'm comfortable with it, that I can just open it up and know, this is how you work with Final Cut Pro. These are the different things together. This is a generator. These are the different pieces. These are the formats. This compressor. Like I already have that. Like it's just not realistic to expect, just anyone to have that.
Which again is not an easy tool. Like you don't just pick up Final Cut. Like
you can do basic stuff with it out of the gate, but you have to like get frustrated with it 20 times and each time go Google like how do you do this in Final Cut, or why does Final Cut do this, or how do I get out of this mode in Final Cut? Watch somebody else's video where they say, hey, this is how you get out of this stuck thing in Final Cut. And then you know how to do it after that. I can't tell you how many times that's how I've figured stuff out.
I have a list of somewhere in Notepad or Simple Note or somewhere of YouTube videos that I've Googled to figure out something in Final Cut and be like, I'm going to be back here because I don't. Unlike you, I only do Final Cut like 3 times a year at the end of a conference, like, and then I'm done for 6 months and I never open the app again. So I'm like, I'm going to have to Google this every single year. So I'm just going to save this URL and come back to it, and that happens a fair bit of time.
Yeah, it's and iMovie has gotten a lot better. And I would make the observation that like the learning curve on iMovie is a lot lower, and it's got like, unless you're getting into the plugins, it's got like 90% of the capacity of Final Cut.
Yes.
You need to get into professional plugins, you need to get into coloring and these other things, Final Cut Pro, but you can actually do like really professional looking stuff with iMovie. And I'm sure there's a Windows comparable product which can do the same thing.
But probably.
Again, I had fun with it, but it points to an interesting, situation.
Yeah. All right. So we have, I see a question, but before I ask that, I wanted to also plug, and Tyler plugged it in Slack, one of my all-time favorite apps,
Magic
Fireplace.
Yeah.
Every
boy,
it gets brought out.
We have a new version.
Oh, really?
We've had it ready for months. The problem is there's an intractable situation in the App Store with on-demand resources such that we know that when we release the update, we have no choice. The operating system is going to automatically wipe all the existing downloads from it. We don't have any choice in this. It's going to happen. They changed the way the code path worked. And the last thing you want to do if you have the world's most popular Fireplace app on Apple TV is like take away somebody's favorite Fireplace. And now we're in an inescapable condition in which everyone's downloads will be wiped on the next time. So typically, the plan was to just wait for the summer when the sales of it usually drop, and then we'd push it out then when nobody was looking. And then when people came back in the fall, I'd be like, so what? I haven't looked at it in a few months. But because of COVID, people are still using it all the time. So we haven't had a down moment to subject our audience to this problem of having to re-download the content due to changes that Apple made. So, oh God.
Good problem to have, I suppose.
On-demand resources. I
wouldn't have thought of that.
It's funny because people will post like a comment like, why hasn't this been updated? And then like the complexities behind why. And it's like almost always the situation. People who are writing reviews from the outside who think like, oh, this developer is dumb and they don't know this, or sometimes the developer is dumb. Sometimes I have literally had customers come in, point something out, and I'm like, oh my God, I did not know that. But yeah, more often than not. So yeah, what's this new panel thing that's going on? I'm intrigued here.
I was like, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Life is
apparently I'm
here.
going to the refrigerator.
All right,
I'm
before
going to the
Tim
refrigerator.
did have a question, so we'll ask that real quick. How do you like the SetApp? How do you like SetApp platform for publishing?
So you asked me on an intriguing day. I will start just by saying it's fantastic. But you asked me on an intriguing day because we really did just launch today, like literally like 6 hours ago. And it's the same thing with Arrow. That literally just happened like an hour and a half ago. This was none of this was by design. Sometimes things just get stacked up out of your control. But first off, like SetUp is the Mac App Store the way I would want it to be. As someone who makes desktop enhancement apps, which Apple basically never editorializes, and it doesn't allow for a lot of system restriction reasons. You just can't get those kind of apps like UBar in its really functional form in the Mac App Store, and SetApp gives all of those to you. So they are a platform that within it holds all these rejects from the Mac App Store, many of which are extraordinarily quality products, but because of Apple's rules, are not able to be there. But take important note: Apple allows this. This is completely in line on the Mac. We had the conversation about side loading earlier on the Mac. This is completely open. It's completely allowed to have another app store that is subscription. On the Mac, you're allowed to distribute outside of the Mac App Store. Every single complaint that exists about the iOS App Store distribution structure, for which Google is, we do this, Apple does it too in Mac. And SetApp has really taken advantage of this on Mac. And I'm not into all the details yet, but they have something coming on iOS as well.
Oh, nice.
So I will start by saying that, but I will add on as a bonus that after it pushed this morning, right before I got into the call with you, I saw, I'll mention in the crash reports, something had gone wrong. Actually, the rate at which we acquired new users in the first 20 minutes is a rate which we've never had user acquisition on Mac before ever.
Nice.
It was a level of pressure on the product at one time that had never happened before.
Sure.
And immediately it was clear that something was wrong. And this is a product that in the Mac App Store version had been stable for 6 months, so it was unclear what was wrong. But I had to jump to the call with you right away when I found that. And as soon as I got out of the call with you, there was an answer from SetApp about what was wrong. And within 5 minutes of that, the update was released. 5 minutes. There isn't, it actually has been pointed out to me by Guillaume from Ariel that I'm so used to Mac App Store distribution and the stress of waiting potentially 24 hours, 48 hours if you have a critical bug fix to get out, that I have all of this anxiety about releases, because there just is not room for error when you're going to have to wait a day to fix it.
Yeah.
The web is the perfect place because you can just push a fix like that, but these SetApp just snap done.
Nice.
So the discovery was 10 minutes before the call we had, and the fix was released 30 minutes after. So why can't Apple do that? There really just is not an excuse on that particular front, particularly with trusted devs like me who have been in the Mac App Store 10 years. Though I guess Epic kind of, on that note.
Yeah, exactly.